Okay, this will be my Greyhound story. The time that it took to get from Kansas City, Missouri to Portland, Oregon via Greyhound was about 80 hours. And what I'm going to do is basically describe the Greyhound nightmare. Of course, there's worse situations you can be in than the one that I was in. For one thing, I was able to walk around during the long layovers that I'll talk about in just a moment, and I was able to capture some video that I'm going to be sharing on YouTube. So there was a plus to it, and there were some interesting conversations that I had along the way. But to make a very long story short, and probably not that interesting, and there's really no point in whining about it, but I really should call and make a complaint because this is my experience, and it didn't just happen to me. So we all know Greyhound has a monopoly on the nationwide bus system, busing people from point A to point B. And I'm sure there's other people other than me that have taken the bus in recent years out of curiosity because, it's not the same airport in a lot of our hometowns that it used to be years ago. Things have changed with the TSA. And there's a lot of people that are looking at other means of traveling other than just hopping on a plane because of what the airports have turned into. And there's other reasons. Sometimes for economic reasons, we travel, and sometimes Greyhound is convenient. But it sure seems like Greyhound has become like a place where just being a rider makes you a suspicious person. And because Greyhound has a monopoly on this nationwide bus system, they have a certain attitude and their employees seem to behave a certain way. And so it seems to be okay in the eyes of Greyhound, first of all, to play the greed card and overbook the trips. So they have people literally being rerouted to other states they don't need to go. So when I was in Kansas City, Missouri, instead of going straight to Denver, Colorado and transferring to another bus, and then from there going to Portland, they overbooked the ride. So we're literally waiting for another bus. By the way, the time that I chose to leave was 1 o'clock in the morning. You can choose 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 1 o'clock in the morning. I thought 1 o'clock in the morning sounded like a great time to leave Kansas City, Missouri. A red eye ride out of town on the bus, that's awesome. And I think I did pretty well considering the circumstances in those cramped seats. And this time I had some very interesting dialogue with a few individuals. It doesn't mean there weren't any crazies or a few awkward exchanges with a few folks, a few awkward exchanges when it comes to eye contact, but there were more conscious conversations that I had on Greyhound and the bus terminal than I expected to have. I don't know how much of that I'm going to upload, but there were some interesting conversations, regardless. And those are the things that remind us to remain human in what seems to be a very unhuman world sometimes. So it's good to have those moments. So overall, I'm disappointed with Greyhound showing what I perceive to be dishonesty uh, by overbooking the rides and then rerouting us to Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, I didn't have to go to Omaha, Nebraska to sit for layover for 3 hours. I was so tired because I'd been up the whole. I was expecting to be able to get on the bus and go to sleep. So now I'm going through sleep deprivation and I'm feeling like I'm in a jail cell. Thank God I had a sleeping pad. I laid down and just, because of the light, the melatonin production, it's good to maybe have a blindfold or something to cover your eyes so you can sleep when you're in those environments where it's well lit. And of course, the design of the concrete is like what I've seen in jail. These blocks, cement, white paint, always white, gray paint. No class, Greyhound. No class whatsoever. I mean, we knew you were dirty. I mean, we knew all about it. But your people, your riders, they defied the stereotype of it all being a bunch of crackheads. The stereotype was Greyhound and how they treated us. Not the fucking riders, not behavior on the bus. Greyhound. And not only what happened with, this whole mishap with overbooking, the way the drivers talk to us. This is my third time on Greyhound, but I'm starting to get tired of this. If you do this, we will kick you off the bus. If you do this, we will kick you off the bus. You'd think they were used to running prisoners back and forth, not paying customers that wanted to do business with Greyhound. If I wanted to be talked to like a child, I would have stayed at certain jobs and occupations that I was a part of in the past. Thank you very much. I believe in my freedom, and part of my freedom involves travel. Boy, it's real interesting when you get on Greyhound how that sense of being an adult goes away real fast when you're reminded if you do this, you'll be kicked off the bus. So we were rerouted, and then we were rerouted to Denver, and we were on layover for 6 hours. So first 3 hours in Omaha, and then 6 hours in Denver. And then going through that whole situation with the security guards walking around, glaring at people, you know. It's fine. He's armed. Do your job. Whatever. Okay, you work here. You're important. Wow, you're really fit. You're probably the only person in this whole room that's wearing a certain outfit with your shirt like this, with your arms like this, although they're not that great, but with your really tight shirt and yellow. You're wearing yellow, so our eyes are attracted. Ooh, look at you. Ooh, look at you. You're not a cop. You're 24 years old, but you know you've worked out a little bit. You know all you got to do is tighten the shrivel. You can look much fitter when you adjust your attire. You'd be really amazed. Just a few workouts, adjust your attire, you can look like Rambo. And there he is. He's got a little. He's got the strut. You know Bob Seger. Watch him strut. Do do do. He was strutting. He was strutting. And let me just say this, and I'm gonna have to come back and do a part two. Uh, first of all, let's just go ahead and continue on here in part two, coming soon.